Another very important aspect of the work, I think at this point we can start the Q&A session, but let me establish a very important aspect of this work. The most important argument in this work is not to give us the history of the Sayfawa, mais, and so on, but to give us an explanation of the of what is the most important factor in their sustenance as a dynasty, because scholars struggle to explain this phenomenon. Here is an empire that had a dynasty that governed for 1,000 years, a political system that defied all odds to last a period of over 1,000 years. What is the explanation? Because many empires came, collapsed, and became forgotten right beside the Sayfawa mais. So what is the explanation for that? Many scholars have offered the explanation. Some gave the explanation that, look, the Sayfawa were able to establish a strong military, so their existence for 1,000 years is all thanks to the strong military they've raised. So these are scholars who are much more familiar with European political system, where rulers were known to use force to exact submission from their followers. Others said that no, it is what could explain that is the crisis, the great man theory, which says that, you know, great people, strong people have been produced in the empire within successive, you know, intervals, you know, one great man, and then after the whole history is reduced to what great men do, cancelling, you know, the activities of the role of many other people in the society. That beyond the great people, there is nothing much to explain the Sayfawa Kanum Borno phenomenon. Then there were others, such as Abdullah Smith, who said that no, the credit should go to intermarriages, social cohesion, which the Sayfawa have had perfected. He said that according to the king list of the Sayfawa, all of the Sayfawa rulers are maternally non-Kanuris. That they are all maternally not from that blood. And he said that was a deliberate policy of the state. It was one of the conditions that will qualify you to become a mai, because consistently, in fact, the king list is written in such a way that the name of their mothers were written, partly because yes, they are maternally non-canories, but also because the the mother of the king, the queen mother, is a very powerful state official. Yeah, in fact, has she had one of the greatest uh, um, political powers, influence. So so probably that was the reason, but in any case there were intermarriages, and that will naturally breed a, a culture of social cohesion, a sense of belonging, and so therefore it minimizes resistance, because the greatest thing men can do is to what, is to able to assemble diverse groups of people and then subject them to their control, and to get the control willingly. That is the greatest invention man can do. In the West, the only thing that will explain that is power, or strong military, or some sort of miracles and other things. But when you organize this society, you provide check and balances, you establish duties, you take care of people's welfare, people's security, people will sleep peacefully, people will go to their farms and markets to transact business without any fear, you know. Now the theories are a lot. A very profound theory which I am largely inclined to is one given by Professor Kari Tijani, who many do not know are cousins with late Professor Nur Al-Kali, and their works complement each other. And largely, his own explanation is that, see, you cannot explain the Sayfawa or Kanem-Borno phenomenon within the context of any particular theory. This is a system. A society is a system. You cannot understand it in isolation. You cannot parcel it. You have to understand it as a system. You can't say only great people exist. Great people, yes, exist, but then they are great because there are average people in the society. There are a lot of dynamics. There are a lot beyond just great people. So he said, for us to understand the Sayfawa phenomenon, we have to bring in all sort of variables and understand them and try to establish how they work as a system. So what is the inspiration of the people? What are their hopes and aspirations? What is the model of everyday administration? You know, what is the social order? What everything, including flags, symbols that, you know, inspire people to want to live. You know, all these things. The only problem with the system's approach to a Sayfawa, to the Kanem-Borno society, is that the system approach seeks to say that, you know, societies are not it is only applied to societies that are secular. It is it seeks to say that, this is it is more convenient when you are applying it to a secular society, which Kanum Borno is not.
Yes.
And so it is also not very much consistent with. Now, Professor Nur Al Khali's major argument, major contribution to this work is that, look, beyond all this explanation, all these theories, one thing we are missing is what? Is the economic factors. The economic factors. He attributed the successes of the Sayfawa mais, the 1,000 years of the to their ability to exploit the available natural resources, tap them, harness them, and redistribute it accordingly to the society through means consistent with established political system, which was provided for by the religion of Islam.
Yes.
And his arguments are simple. By the 14th century, when the first Kanuri Empire collapsed, because from 891 AD to 1386, the empire was sited in Kanum, present west of Lake Chad, present day Republic of Chad. But by 1386, the empire collapsed. The rulers were pushed out. They had to cross the Lake Chad into present day Borno. So he said, by the period this was happening, there was population explosion, because naturally the empire had already expanded. There were a lot of people, and then where there is order, there is security, people will troop there. So there was population explosion. So over an increasingly dwindling resources, there were increasing competition over these resources. He said that intensified other social and political crises. He seemed to say that they influenced almost every political crisis that followed, because when people are hungry, frustrated, and competing for everything they get, people become aggressive, people become ruthless, and so on. He said that explained what led to the collapse of the first Kanuri Empire. And he said, when they crossed to the Lake Chad, when they crossed Lake Chad, the sighting of the new political, because 1386 they left Kanum, their capital in Jimmy, they left it, they migrated, crossed the Lake Chad into Borno, and then they were now, for 100 years, they are looking for a new political base. In 1470, during the reign of my Al-Gazali, they founded the new political base in Kazargamu. Now, he said that the siting of the capital in Kazargamu was strategic. Yes, one, it was quite far away from Chad, where the disturbances of the Bulala and other people will not be really felt by the royal court. And then at that time there was still major competition around places like Marte, which was more fertile. Marte has continued to be a major source of competition for a lot of people of the Lake Chad region because of the resources. But Professor Al-Gazali said that west of the Lake Chad, east of the Lake Chad, is much more fertile. West of the Lake Chad, sorry, is much more fertile. Is much more strategic for proper administration, which means that economic activities are sometimes merely about a good how the economy is administered. So if you are positioned in a place where there are a lot of disturbances that affects everyday administration, economic activities will not be properly carried out. So he said that west of the Lake Chad was much more economically buoyant, and that was why it did not take long for the empire to what to rise again after they were literally completely collapsed. They lived as a mobile empire for 100 years before they founded Gazalgamu. So he said it took them less than 100 years to become powerful again. By 1570, the empire was back again and one of the major powers in the central Sudan. So he said it took them nearly to 300 years in Khanum to reach such a point. But in Gazargamu, they did that within short period of time, and there were visible reasons as to the environmental, economic, and ecological advantages of Borno over Kano. So this was a major argument of the work. The work tried to explain how the empire was, what political systems, what functions these political systems have, and quite a lot of things like that. You know, by 1570.